Hey church, Pastor Josh here to bring you a daily Devo on our YouTube page. And first I want to just say happy Thanksgiving. I'm actually not sure when this video is being posted, so if it's being posted before Thanksgiving, I want to wish you a happy Thanksgiving. If it's been posted after Thanksgiving, I hope and pray that you had a blessed Thanksgiving with loved ones, with friends and family. And I know that this is a challenging time. Even in my own family dynamic, our faith has been tested, our trust in God has been tested, our perseverance, our steadfastness has been tested. And easily in these kinds of moments, even just with the times that we're living in, traditions, kind of changing this year because of the kind of year that we're in, I know that we could easily look at the negative, focus on the negative, and then just allow that to grow some bitterness and resentment in our hearts. But this week of Thanksgiving, and not just this week, but even in weeks to come, years to come, as we continue just to navigate through challenging times, one of the things that God marks on mature believers is this attitude of being grateful. I like to say with students, when I used to teach students, it's this attitude of gratitude. It's this idea, this perspective of constantly being thankful for the things that God has done in our lives and the thing that God does through our lives to be a blessing to other people. Why do we need to be thankful? Why do we need to be grateful? Because if we're not, we could take things for granted. We can become bitter. We can be resentful, especially in times that are challenging. And so there's some scripture that helps me to have this idea, to help me and remind me of being grateful and thankful. And this is what out of Colossians chapter 3, starting at verse 14, it says this. It says, "And above all these things, put on love, which binds everything together in perfect harmony." Verse 15, "And let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts, to which indeed you were called in one body, and be thankful." Verse 16, "Let the word of Christ dwell in you richly, teaching and admonishing one another in all wisdom, singing psalms and hymns and spiritual songs with thanksgiving in your hearts to God." I'm not sure if you caught that in verse 15 and verse 16, but in verse 15, Paul tells us that we are to allow the peace of Christ to rule in our hearts. But with that, we are to also be thankful. I wonder if one of the things that we need to do whenever we are in the middle of a situation or circumstance that is trying, that is challenging, that the calling of a Christian is to provide the peace, but to also be thankful in addition to providing peace. Again, I wonder if it's to allow us to have a perspective that honors and glorifies God. And then in verse 16, Paul tells us that we are to allow the word of Christ to dwell in us richly. To allow that to teach other people, to encourage other people, to affirm other people. But we are to do it with thanksgiving towards God. Why? Because I believe that whenever we're put in moments that are trying, challenging, or even when we're put in moments that we can be a blessing to other people, we are to use that as an opportunity to glorify God, thank Him for His goodness, and thank Him for using us. Again, we could take for granted all the opportunities that God has given to us. Moments that are difficult to grow. Moments that are good to bless others. And we can take that for granted, especially in the society that we live in and the culture that we live in. And so I think one of the things we need to do is we need to be grateful for the opportunities that God has given us to grow, to mature, to provide peace, but to also be thankful for the opportunities that we have to be a blessing to other people as God wills it and as God uses us to do so. We're praying for you, church. We love you. Thank you for joining us today.